Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Whatever action a great man performs, common man will follow, and whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Purport. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures, like Manu Samhita and similar others, are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teachers are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. Yad yad acharati shristas tat tat ivatado janha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamnaye Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Deshatarine. So Krishna is speaking eternal truth in Bhagavad-gītā, and most relevant, Bhagavad-gītā is timeless. It's relevant, more relevant today than maybe ever before in this confused world we're living in today. So many distractions and problems, anxieties and suffering is going on. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Creator of everything, the cause of all causes, is speaking personally to Arjuna. So that is amazing. And one who is fortunate takes advantage of this and develop faith in the words of Lord Krishna, because they are also very practical. How we can, in a practical way, realize the Supreme Personality of God, we can get Vigyan. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad-gītā, Radya Vidya, Radya Gudyam, Pavitram Itam Uttamam, Pratyaksha Bhagamandarvyam, Susukam Kartamavyayam. So that means that this knowledge coming from the Supreme Personality of God, it is Radya Vidya. It's a king of all knowledge, the king of education. So we see there are so many educational institutions in the world, everywhere. Schools, courses, universities, everywhere education is going on. But this is Radya Vidya, the king of education. Raja Gudyam, it's the most secret of all secrets. It's like hidden truth, the absolute truth is hidden, because this material world is meant for those who want to cheat themselves and cheat others, who wants to be something which one is not. And so with that mentality, one cannot understand the words of Lord Krishna. But if one is fortunate and can develop a little faith in these words, so then we can say it's the sun comes in to one's life. So Raja Vidya, Raja Gudyam, it's the most secret of all secrets, is the purest knowledge. And because it gives a direct perception of the self by realization. This is called Vijnana. Vijnana, you realize, first of all, the difference between me and the body. We are not these bodies. Srila Prabhupada, again and again, he just tirelessly speaking about this point. We are not these bodies, because it's so very, very deeply rooted in our existence that we are identifying ourselves with something which we are not. But actually this is the beginning of all problems. When we think that we are something which we are not, or we try to be something which we are not. Radha Vidya Radha Gudyam Pavitram Itam Uttavam and Pratyakshavagamam Dhamyam Susukam Kartamavayam. And it's everlasting, and it's susukam, it's joyfully performed. Susukam means very joyful. So this is bhakti yoga. To connecting with the Lord, it's the most joyful process. But because of impurities in the heart, it's also painful, sometimes very painful. And we have to struggle also in devotional service, bhakti yoga. We meet challenges. As everywhere in this world, we can see people are struggling. So also in bhakti yoga, we are sometimes struggling, at least me. And but it's also a blessing. The struggle in bhakti yoga, it's meant for our purification. It purifies the heart. Shirtu Darpana Marjanam. And that means we more and more become pure in our perception. So that is a great opportunity. I was just reading, I'm reading just now about Dhruva Mahārāja. I'm just so fascinated by that story in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's from the 4th canto. And how actually Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he so much liked to hear about Dhruva Mahārāja, also Prahlad Maharaj. He wanted to hear it again and again and again. So I just want to say something about that pastime, that story. So Dhruva Mahārāja, his father was King Uttanapada, and he had 2 sons, Dhruva and Uttama, and he had 2 wives. And so Suruchi and Suniti. Suruchi was the favorite queen of the king. And Suniti, he didn't care so much about her. So now one day, the king was sitting on the throne, and Uttama was sitting on his lap. And he was just so affectionate toward his son. So Dhruva saw this, and he was just 5 years old at this time. So naturally he was just longing for the affection and attention of his father. So he saw his brother was sitting there on the lap, and so he asked, "Oh, Father, I also want to come. Please let me come also." And he was like reaching up and tried to climb up to the throne. And but the father at this time, he was because of attachments, attachments, material attachments, attachment to. He was aware that Suruchi was present. And then when she saw that he was hesitating to just welcome him with his heart, so when she saw that, her lower nature suddenly took over. And she, in a very forceful, cruel way, she almost screamed to him, "You cannot sit on the throne of your father. Don't you understand? First, you must worship the Supreme Personality Godhead, and you have to leave. You have to die. You have to leave this body, and then you can take birth from my womb, and then you can sit on the throne." So harsh. Such a cruel way to treat a child. And Dhruva Mahārāja, being very, very conscious, very intelligent, and having this Kshatriya nature, he became extremely hurt. His whole body started to tremble because of this insult. And he was looking naturally up to his father for shelter. So that was his only hope. And then the father was just completely ignoring him, neglecting him. And it was like a complete abuse, mental abuse. It was just like most sharp arrows going into his heart. The father is not loving me. He's not encouraging me. So he was just looking around confused, and then he was just running out to the palace. And he ran towards his home. Suniti, his mother, was there. And when she saw little Dhruva coming running like that, completely shocked and so angry and so many emotions. So she had never seen him like that. And she asked, what happened? What happened? Please tell. Please tell. And he was so upset, he couldn't express himself. So then someone had been there and heard what was going on, what was taking place. So that person told Suniti, and she became so, of course, sad. And so she said that actually it's true. Your father is not caring about me very much. To some degree he's caring, but he's not treating me very affectionately, very lovingly. So, and then she said something which has become very famous. Instructions actually for every one of us. She said to Dhruva that never wish anyone something bad. So one should be very tolerant and patient, and those who are one's enemy, you should never wish them any some suffering condition, but you should just be forgiving. So because so this is a law of karma, of course, so if you wish anyone something bad, it comes back on you. That's a law of nature. We all, I guess we have that experience, isn't it? In a very practical way. But to say that in that situation, she was spirited, advanced. She was pure-hearted, very good mother. And so she also said, actually, your stepmother was right. You should worship the Supreme Personality Godhead. You should, by His blessings, you can attain what you want. And what he wanted revenge. He wanted a kingdom greater than his father. And also great-grandfather. So Dhruva asked, so where can I find the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Where is he? And she said, his sages, wise persons, find him, the Lord, in the jungle. So they go out there and they perform meditation and tapasya austerities, and there you can find the Lord. And she didn't know that these words from her had such a deep effect on him. So I think it was just the night which were coming. He was just so determined. So he went out to the jungle alone, 5-year-old boy. So very, very, of course, dangerous place. And a lot of animals, wild animals. So, but because he had such a sincere desire, not pure desire, but very sincere desire to meet the Lord, to get the blessings of the Lord, to get his desires fulfilled. So he was praying for that. And then by high arrangement, Narada Muni appeared there. And he was, and Dhruva, he heard about Narada Muni from the palace, from the Brahmanas, the sages that were speaking about the Lord and his pure devotees. So he had heard about Narada Muni, and when he saw Narada Muni, he recognized him. And he was overwhelmed by joy. So actually, when one is sincere in heart and wants to find the Lord, so the Lord is reciprocating with that. So Krishna says in Bhagavad-gītā, Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti tigyanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. That just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from the Guru submissively, and also ask questions, inquire in a humble state of mind. And self-realized souls, Krishna says, can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So Krishna manifested himself in this way. Like I think all of us, we have our own unique stories, how we ended up here. Now we're sitting here together, Sunday, 25th of May, and how we came in contact with devotees, how we came in contact with Prabhupada's books, or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Panchatattva, Radha Krishna. So everyone has a unique story, and actually the Lord, in a very personal way, is directing the wanderings of the living entities in this world. So when one is fortunate, the Lord within the heart is inspiring others and inspiring oneself to take the right steps so one can go forward and make progress in spiritual life. So I think we all have that experience in different ways and in different degrees. It's explained Brahmanya, how does it, Brahmanya? Please. Guru Krishna Prasad, Pai Bhaktilata Bij. Brahmanya, yes. So, by the mercy of Krishna and Guru, one attains, it's called Bhaktilata Bij. Bhaktilata Bij is a seed to the plant of devotional service. So it's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that we should be very careful in cultivating our creeper, devotional creeper. So it's growing when we are hearing and chanting, when we are following the process of Krishna consciousness, associating with devotees, worshipping the Lord. So that's like the watering our creeper, our Bhaktilata Bij. So we should carefully protect our devotional creeper. So if we can protect it, then it will grow more and more strong. It will have a strong foundation in our spiritual life. So by the mercy of both the Lord and Guru, we attains this seat to the creeper of devotional service. So Narada Muni, he was testing Dhruva. He said that you're just a small boy, you should go back to the palace. Don't take this so seriously. Later on you can take up spiritual life, spiritual practices seriously, but now you should go back to your home. So Dhruva Mahārāja, he was, because of his Kshatriya nature, he could not accept those instructions. So he said that, I can understand that you are speaking for my welfare, but these instructions you're giving me now, it doesn't stand in my heart. So he was testing Dhruva, and he was passing that test. And then he started instructing him how he could attain the Lord's mercy. So he was speaking about Ashtanga Yoga, how by performing breathing exercises and different bodily postures and so on, so you can make progress in purification. But then he also added Bhakti Yoga, that all this is meant for pleasing the Supreme Lord. And he said you should make a murti, a deity of the Lord, of Lord Krishna, and you should, with water and earth, clay, and you should worship it, this deity form. You should go to, not so far away from here, Yamuna river is flowing, and there you should perform this yoga. So he explained in details, step by step, how you should do it. And Dhruva Mahārāja, he really pleased his spiritual master because of his eagerness to serve him, to please him, his sincerity, and all the good qualities were there. So we, like in this verse we read now, Jajata chariti shrestas tat eva tarujanaha. So shrestas means like a respectable leader. So whatever a leader, Narada Muni being the guru, whatever example he sets, Narada Muni is just completely pure in heart. And he's like the perfect example of a saintly sage. So Dhruva Mahārāja got so much inspiration from his association, and he really wanted to please him. He wanted to serve him. So he was listening very carefully, and then he went to Madhuvan, the one forest there in Vrindavan, and he started to practice. So in the meanwhile, it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam how King Uttanapada in the palace, actually quite quickly after Dhruva Mahārāja left, he had a complete change of heart. He realized quite quickly, after hurting his son, because he also loved his son, he also loved Dhruva, but because of the weakness of his heart, he was just ignoring him at that point. But quickly he realized this was very cruel, this was very wrong. So he wanted to rectify that, and he went to Suniti. Then Dhruva had already gone. And they were searching for Dhruva, but they couldn't find him. So he was in the jungle, and he was just full of anxiety. What have I done? I'm the father of Dhruva, so cruel. How could I do it? And then he started to think about how he had treated Suniti, his other wife. Not very respectfully, not very lovingly. So he started to, regret, lament and regret what he had done. So just then, Narada Muni appeared. He could actually not perform his duties in the palace, because he was just so full of grief and anxiety. He was just thinking, he's out in the jungle and all the wild animals is there, and probably he's not living. So then Dhruva, where Narada Muni appeared, and he just told him, your son is well. And he's doing this meditation, and he's becoming quickly purified, and he will return soon to your kingdom. He will come to the palace. And he couldn't believe it. How is it possible? First of all, that he was saved like that, and I treated him so cruelly. How is it possible that the Lord is so kind to me, so he will return? So he was, but he had faith in Narada Muni. He knew he was speaking the truth, but somehow he was also doubtful, some mixed feelings. And so then Dhruva in the forest, he just became more and more advanced, and the austerities he performed, it's described there, how he was, in the beginning he was just eating some berries, some fruits, and after some time he was just eating dry grass, drinking water after certain periods. This was going on over a period of 6 months, and it became more and more severe. So in the end he was standing, I think, on one leg, and he didn't even breathe. So he was, by the mercy of Narada Muni and his strong determination, he was quickly advancing like that in 6 months. And so he was meditating on the Lord in the heart, as Narada Muni had advised him to do. And suddenly he saw the Lord in the heart, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu was smiling to him. He was so pleased by his determination and his sincere desire to please Narada Muni. So when he saw Lord Vishnu, like an inner vision, his heart just melted with love. And he simply wanted to serve the Lord. He was so very, very, very happy. And but then suddenly the Lord just disappeared like this. And he was shocked, because then he really were so eager to serve the Lord and see the Lord and have the darshan. So the Lord just disappeared like this. And then he opened his eyes. And when he opened his eyes, he saw this exactly same form he had seen in the heart. He saw just before him, like physically. It's a transcendental form, but he could see that transcendental form. And he was just overwhelmed. And he had so many emotions. He wanted to express his gratefulness to the Lord, but being a 5-year-old boy, he didn't have that ability to express in prayers his gratefulness. So then the Lord came forward and he touched his head with the conch. And so he just got purified, and he could suddenly express his devotional sentiments, his devotional emotions, his feeling towards the Lord, offering him the most beautiful Sanskrit prayers, glorifying the Lord, although only 5 years old. So, and the Lord was so happy, and he wanted to give him a benediction. So he said, please ask for anything. I just want to give it to you. So the Dhruva, because being purified at that time, although he wanted a kingdom greater than his father and grandfather, so now that was just meaningless. Did it mean anything to him? He was just completely happy, satisfied, and just wanted to serve the Lord. So he said, he expressed it like this: I was searching for some broken pieces of glass. That means the kingdom and all this prestige and position and revenge. I was looking for some broken pieces of glass. But now, by your mercy, I found you, who are the most valuable jewel. So I'm just so completely satisfied. I don't want anything. But the Lord still wanted to give him a kingdom which was greater than Brahma. So he gave him Dhruva Loka. He became in charge of that planet. So, so in the palace, if you go back now, so back to the palace, and the news came that Dhruva is on his way back home, and the king, the father, again couldn't believe it, but he was just so in complete ecstasy, and they were just preparing a royal reception. And not only royal reception, the king, the ministers, and so many of the inhabitants, they were walking out to meet Dhruva Mahārāja, who came from the jungle. So they know from which direction he would come when they came there. And it's so beautifully described how Suniti, she was offered a palanquin, Dhruva Mahārāja's mother. Beautiful palanquin. The king wanted to give her this facility to come with them out to meet Dhruva. So then Suniti, she, in a very wonderful, beautiful gesture, Suruchi was there. So she just welcomed her. Please, you come, you sit beside me in the palanquin. And Suruchi, when she met that attitude from Suniti, she couldn't believe it. She's just so kind, she's so pure, she's just forgiving me. Suruchi also regretted like anything what she had done. This was like a purificatory process for many persons who were involved in this pastime. And so she just offered the place beside her, and she accepted it. And she had a complete change of heart. So they became good friends. So then they went towards the jungle, and Dhruva Mahārāja suddenly appeared there, came walking, now around 6 years old. And so the father he was just crying in joy, and saw him coming. So he was running towards him, and Dhruva was also running towards him, and they were embracing. So same son, but he has felt he's not the same. Actually, he had attained the highest perfection in spiritual life. He was completely pure, wise, very transcendentally intelligent. So he felt that. Same son, but it's not the same. So it's... and then Dhruva Mahārāja, he offered his respects to, I think it was first to Suruchi. And he could now see, when he got the complete mercy of the Lord, he could see the arrangement from the higher level, how the Lord, by his blessing, he actually, harsh words from Suruchi, they were also a blessing. Because of that, he got that determination. He wanted revenge first, but it was, he could see how the Lord had arranged that, so he should quickly become purified and attain spiritual perfection. So he greeted her with great respect. So that's so wonderful with the transcendental platform. We go beyond the dualities of this material world. like friends and enemies, heat and cold, happiness and distress, and all these dualities. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gītā, Ichcha dvesha samutvena dvanda moina bharata sarva bhutani sarmoham sargayanta parantapa. That everyone is born into this delusion, bewildered by the dualities of this material world, arisen from desire, so many material desires, and also aversion, hate. So transcendental platform means you just go beyond it. It doesn't mean anything more like that. And then he also met his brother Uttam, and they embraced. And then last he came to Suniti, offered his respect, and what she had went through, she was suffering the most of them all as a mother, and just so much anxiety, but also she understood and saw how Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acted for everyone's welfare in the most wonderful way. So it's an interesting story, and you can learn many things from it, like determination. Determination is so important for our spiritual progress, because there will be many obstacles, and Dhruva, he showed this determination. And also this with forgiveness, which is very important for our also progress in life. We are able to let things go and be able to forgive things. And sadhana, that's another lesson, how seriously Dhruva Mahārāja followed the process, the sadhana which was given by Narada Muni. He was so deep and sincere in his practice. And that's why he quickly attained perfection, and taking shelter of Guru. He accepted, and he just took shelter of Narada Muni. That's so important. Everyone should have a Guru. Everyone should have guidance. That's so important. If we try to act independently, this process of progress, it's slow. But the more we take shelter and get guidance from mentors or gurus and good friends in Krishna consciousness, then we can quickly advance in devotional service. We can see with Srila Prabhupada how he just accepted his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. How much time we have left?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, thank you. So they met 1922, and just by hearing from him, getting the instructions from Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he just saw he was he was authorized to represent Shri Gaura Nitai, Guru Parampara. Prabhupada was deeply impressed, and just at the very first meeting, he took shelter of his instructions, and his whole life became centered around that. So we can see the examples of those who are actually successful in spiritual life, how they take guidance and take instructions and try to follow that. So many lessons from this story. And so thank you very much. Maybe something we can discuss, some reflections, some question, comments.
Just curious about this Dhruva Loka planet. So we heard about that it's between the material and the spiritual world, but what is the function of this planet?
It's Dhruva Loka is also the pole star. It's always in north And it's what I understand is a Vaikuntha planet. So it's very special place. I don't know more details. Someone else, please. If you have more information about Dhruva Loka.
I heard actually, Prabhu, it's not in the spiritual world, but not in the material world also. When the material world annihilates, but the Dhruva world will not be affected by that annihilation. So it's a kind of eternity.
Thank you. It's very special. We can see many times the pole star is very bright, and it's always fixed in the north. So it's like sailors who were going across the sea. They always they know where north is. Yes. Something else?
You mentioned determination, and we have that here in this Leela. Maybe you could speak about motivation, because even though motivation in devotional service, because even though his motivation was not pure, his determination kind of overruled that. And but often motivation is like even more important than anything.
Yeah, Narada Muni, he was impressed by his determination. Although seeing his motivation, the motives they were not pure. But he had this Kshatriya spirit. He wanted revenge, and he wanted this and that. And Narada Muni appreciated that, his character. He was so determined. And then because of Dhruva's relationship and how he were taking shelter of Narada Muni, so he was listening very, very carefully. He wanted attain this material goals, but gradually, the motivation became more and more purified. So it's a gradual process. So we are all driven by desires. The desires are driving us here and there, and motivation. So when we hear from the right sources, when we hear from Bhagavad-gītā, when we hear from those who are spiritually inspired, so then we can experience in a practical way how our motivation, our inspiration are changing. So we can replace our determination in a proper way. Prabhupada was extremely determined. He went through whatever, anything he was able to tolerate because he was just motivated to please Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And for that, because of that love, affection, he was just, he was going on the Jaladuta across the seas, and he was having heart attacks, and he was just tolerating so many hardships, so much suffering, and he was not ever shaking in his determination, because he had a deep motivation, pure motivation, that came in the association of his Guru Maharaj and his constant meditation on him. And in New York City, 1965, he said that seemingly I was alone. He was alone for quite some period, struggling alone in New York and living in a Bowery and in the ghetto in the slum. And he was just going through this hardship, and he said, seemingly I was alone, but I never felt alone. I was always feeling the presence of my spiritual master. So that gives the right motivation. If we can place our motivation in pleasing the Lord, the Guru, and the Vaishnavas, so then our determination becomes very, very powerful. We can see it in a practical way.